Yes, I might need to do a battery change mid-show.
Alrighty.
Because I've got my garbage backup batteries. I forgot to charge my main batteries today, so I got home at 4.
Yeah.
Got those bad boys in there. They're still charging, so I think it's 3 to 1.
Okay.
For every hour you get, you need to give it 3. So they're 2-hour batteries, so 6-hour charge. I'm like, fucking work.
Yeah, I hate that. I know. When I have to do shoots back to back to back or whatever, going home after a shoot and charging them is the most anxious thing. You just gotta...
Oh, it is. Yeah, I have 2 charging bays. I have a charging bay in the shed, in the garage, and I have one just in my hallway here. The quick grab batteries. Yeah, constantly charging Sony batteries. All filmmakers are cursed with charging those batteries.
Yeah. And if you just don't plug it in or you don't switch the PowerPoint on, it just drives you nuts.
Yeah, that's it. You got to. It's one of those triple check things, you know. Actually, when I check that sort of thing, I actually say it out loud. Battery is charging.
Okay.
So then I walk away, get distracted, and go,
Did I do that?
Did I do that?
Yeah.
And then I have an audio memory of me saying it out loud. So
that's a good little hack, actually.
Yeah, I figured it out by being a data entry person. So when you do data entry, sometimes you've got to remember a number in your head, and sometimes you've got to remember 3 numbers in your head, and that's really hard to do. So I'd visually remember a number, audio remember a number, and then just through thought remember a number.
Okay.
And then I run out of space, so I go, well, I'll audio remember a number as well, which is weird. It's a weird thing to do.
I've been told if you need to remember 4 numbers or something like that, or even 6, if it's even, just remember the like the tens digits or whatever. So say it's like 7854 rather than 7854 or whatever. 7854.
Yeah, don't fragment it. Yeah, split it up into pieces. I suppose we do that naturally with phone numbers, credit cards. Yeah. I know I've done so much home shopping that I know my credit card through muscle memory.
Oh no, that's when capitalism's really got to you.
Yeah, I just like done. You know, I don't even touch a mouse when doing the credit card. Just tab my way through it. Yeah.
Ah, well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they've got me. They've got us both. They've got us all.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, cheers, man. Thanks for being on the Pagey train.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I think we're ready to roll in.
Cool, let's get it, Henry Rollins.
Yeah, let's do Henry Rollin. Oh, see, I do the Josh Brolin. Henry Rollin. Oh, I love it. All right, this is going to be fun.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. And welcome to the Pagey train. Today I have in the studio with me, Luke Agius. I hope I've got that correctly.
You have got that correctly. Thank you.
Fantastic writer, director, and a media practitioner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You totally took out a prize this year at the Online Film Festival. Best Horror, which was unusual because it was also a film clip.
Yeah. It was a music video. Yeah. It was good fun. My mates Martin
Young.
Young.
Clip, I meant music clip.
Yeah, that's all good. I know it. My mate Martin Young shot that and such, and it was from a really talented artist called Machine on a Break, and it starred British Flower that you had on the show before. So
yeah, mad interview. She's a mad interview, man. She's a go-getter, man.
Absolutely, very talented person.
Yeah, she does metal online as well. Yeah, she does
does a lot of things and
vocals,
drag king stuff as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's more comedy sort of stuff. Yeah, so she's into comedy, metal, acting. Yeah, actually, if she's listening, I'll get you back on the show soon. That was a lot of fun. So how'd you get into making that movie?
So I've always wanted to make music videos, and I'd made a few in the past before, and I was sort of I work in radio as well. So my mate Jesse happened to bring an artist on the show called Machine on a Break, and I just really liked her music. I thought that she was really good. Her music always had a real political message.
Yeah.
And so like after we did this interview, I reached out to her and said, "Hey, would you be interested in letting me do a music video?" It's funny because I kind of had a plan for a single that she'd already released called Avocado Toast, and I was like really hoping to just go in with that, and I had an idea. She's like, I'm releasing this other track called Things That Go Bump.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in doing that? And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's kind of snowballed from the idea that the song in itself is about domestic violence, and that in itself is a horror story. So I said to Mobe, we'll make a music video that is a horror story in itself, but we'll sort of take most of it will be the symbolic kind of representation. This woman's in a horror movie, and then at the end we'll sort of break out of that, and it's the real world, and she can get out of that relationship. So yeah, that's how it'll kind of.
Yeah, I like the way you put it together. So like, because obviously in a music video you have, you know, if you've got a band, you see instrument, you know, you might see instruments playing, or it might be a fully narrative piece, or it's an integrated piece where there's a narrative where the band's going through a journey, and then you go back to seeing them play. So this one was a bit of a narrative and seeing the performer. And I like the way that you did that. So it was all this red backlit, sort of. Portrait sort of style, so it was like she was doing a portrait and then had this background story to it. I think it was very well put together.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was I was very much inspired by Argento and all his films and such, with all the vibrant, violent colors and such, and that sort of you know, that's the clash of colors. There's a word that I'm trying to think of, and I just can't get it at the moment.
Got there. Well, it does have a violence to it, though. I noticed, like, because I think that's a bit of a Freudian slip, really, when you think about it. Because if you look at the color scheme in this film. It does talk. The song talks about violence, and you've got these red and red tones that are through it. Like even if you look at the psychology of that, right? Like even Kubrick, right? Before Clockwork Orange, just does one screen of red for 1 minute.
Really?
Yeah, because the idea was he wanted to put the audience in a violent mood before they watch this film.
Yeah, wow, I never noticed that.
Yeah, well, colours have an effect on our psychological state. Like they, it's why they paint like hospitals green, right? When you look at logo development, they'll do a lot of research into colour palettes and what the brand is and what the market is and what that psychology is in that space, you know. So all the demographic, you know. So they'll target colour to demographic. So colour has a motive in how we feel. Definitely portrayed that. It was very powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I think it was a bit Freudian, but you did have a good palette to it. So you directed that, right?
Yeah, I directed that. Yeah.
And who shot that?
My friend Martin Jung. So he's a guy that I went to uni with back in a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And him and I collaborated on almost everything. And he's really talented. He's super dedicated and focused. And he actually came in at the fucking 11th hour to shoot it, because I had another DP on who's a good friend of mine, but unfortunately he just felt sick. So I called up Martin the day before. I'm like, Martin, can you please do this for me? And he did it, and he fucking killed it. So shout out to you, Martin. Yeah,
big shout out, man. That was it was fucking boss. It was highly competitive, and as well, unleashing the music videos that made in the West, right? We've been pushing for it for ages, but we were always worried about the market. Like, we published that we're going to do a music video award. You only get one entry. Like, they go, well, you're gonna win. But then there was a period around 4 years ago, we got submitted a whole bunch of music videos. Like, now it's time. Yeah, it's time to put the award out there and put some glassware in someone's hand, you know? And give them something to compete for and strive for. And now we've just had this influx of music videos over the years, and they have all been, rage quality, top-notch international stuff, man. And to compete in that space is, I got to tip my hat, man. That's a hard space to compete in.
I understand. But personally, like, watching the Made in the West, the winner this year for Best Music Video, was very well deserved. It was just a very beautiful clip, and
Yeah, it was well done. It's got Chicken Man in it. Which is because I went to the local university there.
Yeah,
and, we used to get chips there. Only One is the clip, by the way, if you want to go check it out, guys. But Only One was filmed around Chicken Man, and we just found, like, if you're not from the area, if you go past Chicken Man, when you get off Kingswood Station, you go, where the fuck am I? I am minutes away from being mugged, right? It depends on the personality that rocks up, right?
Yeah.
I walked through there feeling just fine. I even used to have my local there at the Kingswood Tavern. I used to drink there. People used to say, how do you go into there, man? Don't you get stabbed? I'm like, well, not every week. It seems to be quite fine. It's quite an authentic place, is my point. The aesthetic may be lacking a little bit. It may have a bit of grit on it, but the people there are very... community minded, and to watch Chicken Man to be shown that gloriously was a good massive feat for me. Like I just like wow, that's impressive.
They made it look really cool too. Like I just love the palette and the grade and everything. Like the
grade was. I think the grade is the one. You know when you need that 1% in a film. In that film it was the grade. Like the edit was done well. It was well timed.
The song was great.
The song was great. Yeah, it had all those firing cylinders. But the thing that really pushed it over was the grade of it. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. Yeah. The good thing is that I really appreciate that you guys have brought in the music video category because there's so many great music. Like, sorry, as you've always known this, you were in a band and stuff yourself, but Western Sydney has so many great artists. There's another thing that unfortunately it's just closing up now, but a Western Sydney mixtape. This guy was doing it for a while. Yeah, just bringing in all these Western Sydney musicians and such to perform, on a monthly basis. And Adamoga is now doing heaps of live shows and all that sort of thing. And we don't really see that much in the West anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, getting a gig out West, man. Because you played in bands as well.
Yeah.
Getting a gig out West, because you know what it's like. You got to go to the inner West. So these days, like towards the end of my reign, because my band broke up and it's very sad. No, it was a peaceful breakup, guys. Playing Frankie's Pizza is great, right? There's great venues.
That was our last gig. My band's last gig was at Frankie's.
That was my last gig.
There you go.
That was my last gig at Frankie's Pizza, man. It must be an omen. You finally get the venue
and
you
then
want.
it closes.
And it closes, yeah. Now we did it last week before COVID hit.
Oh, actually, hang on. Like in 2020 or
yeah. So 2020. We started seeing COVID in the news, and like another Chinese.
Oh, we were making jokes
thing
about it, eh?
Yeah.
Like we were just like, just going to be another swine flu, but not fucking. Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't even a consideration.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. Like, but yeah, we played that week, and then after the week, the whole fucking world fell apart.
Jeez.
But
you guys
yeah,
were ground zero or something like that.
Yeah, and then Frankie's gets up again, and now it's closing.
Yeah,
I went past there the other day. Yeah, it's closed. That whole block is closed. There was even a pub that was next to it. I was quite fond of as well. Not a pub. Yeah, I think it was a pub. Not sure.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been a hotel thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I used to drink there with my old man. On Anzac Day of all days. That whole block is shut down because they've got
the metro coming through. Yeah,
and they go, we'll reopen it elsewhere. It's not going to be the same.
It won't be the same, but at the same time, it was so popular and so loved that I think it does have a chance of coming back. It won't be the same, but it could be just as good. Like maybe not just as good, but it could be
something new even. Yeah, on par and something new.
Yeah.
But I must say, the guys at Frankie's, man, out of all the venues I've played in Sydney, they treat you the best.
Oh yeah.
You get paid. You get a pizza.
You get free drinks, I think. We got free drinks?
Yeah, we got a case of beer. They gave us Pabst, man.
There you go.
That was like, fuck yeah, man. I love these guys. My band was upset because I drank most of the share. But, that could happen. Yeah, our last gig was Frankie's. But then you got but outside of those kind of venues, though, you've got, like, back in the day, it was the Lewisham Hotel, the Crowbar, which was the Bald-Faced Stag.
Yeah, Town and Country. There was the Hideaway Bar.
Yeah, the Hideaway, which was then the Hyde, or whatever
something
like that.
The Record Crate. Did you ever play the Record Crate?
I never played there.
That was such a cool little venue. I loved it.
Never played there. I got very close to playing there once, man. That was a mad venue. It was a very intimate venue, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was on my bucket list. I never got to do. But every other venue, though, even the Valve, man, you can appreciate the Valve. The Valve is what it is.
Is that still going? Are you talking about the Valve Underground in Central?
Yeah, it's not going anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think
Greg's
so.
selling it. I don't know if he sold it already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw a post 5 months ago. He was selling all of the gear and the brand.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Because I even played at Tempe. You ever play at Tempe?
No, I don't think we played at Tempe. No, we played at the Lewisham Bowl Club, I think.
I've done that one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, you're trying to retrofit gigs onto there to justify their pogies. But there was you had to get, there was nothing. I was a lucky Australian. I suppose there was the lucky Australian. Years and years ago, there was one in Richmond, the Froggy, I think it was called.
Okay.
We only ever did 2 gigs in Penrith. Top Bar.
I think we played at the Tattersalls.
Did
you play the Tats?
Yeah, played the Tats, yeah. I had this gentleman on before. There was this dude. I'm so sorry, guys. I've forgotten his name, but he was the guy. He was the main promoter for Penrith and Outer West. But he passed away. I think he had a heart attack.
That's a real shame.
And he was the passion.
Yeah.
You need that one guy.
Yeah. The guy that's gonna pull it.
Yeah, he was that one guy, and he's the guy who put on all the Tattersall shows. And he played with mad bands, man. It was always a mad lineup at Tattersalls.
Yeah.
And again, another intimate sort of venue. And a crowd. Penrith crowds, man, are the best.
Oh, man. I think that was where we got our first heckler, actually. This guy's like coming up and he's just bald and like probably fucked off his face. He's just like, play more rock. We don't want this sissy shit. I'm like, all right, cool. So we played the hardest fucking song we could. And he was happy, and then he left.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
calm down, bro.
Yeah, it's
just deal with it.
You know. Well,
that's the thing, man. When I put on shows, right? Because we were doing hard rock, heavy metal.
Yeah.
So screamo. Deep guttural vocal, and a lot of melodic screams, and a bit of clean,
Yeah.
And it depends what venue we were at to how we sold ourselves. If you say heavy metal to a venue, they'll be like, "Fuck off, we're not doing that." No, we're a hard rock band. Oh, cool, come on in. So it depends how you're selling to how you market it. But I'd always like putting on shows where I had a variety of bands on. So put on a punk band. Put on a stoner band, put on a thrash metal band, put on a hard rock band. We at one point I was in a heavy metal conspiracy band, which was great. The lyrics were really cool.
I've got a song. I'll have to show you after the show, but that's a song that you'd fucking love for my band. It's literally called Conspiracy Theories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my last band before last, Alpha Degenerate. It was all conspiracy metal. Like we made our own. We decided to make our own genre, conspiracy metal.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah. So very gent. It was very gent. We did like 2 albums out of that band, and then Mendoza, which was the next band, which was cool because it was a name from The Simpsons, right? Because both of those bands, like we had practiced so hard for so long, we didn't even have a name until we had our first gig, and both of those bands were named on the night that we were doing the gig. Because you get on
pretty metal.
Yeah, well, when you're starting out as a band, like you just want to get on a bill. You're not the headliner. You just want to get on a bill, and no one's there for you. You're just supporting other bands that they're there for.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's what I learned. Like, because I'd go and play these shows, and they'd put on like the same genre of bands all the way through. And you get the girlfriends there. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
You get the girlfriends, the other band members that are watching you play. But to get the audience beyond that, I found the way to do that was to put contrast in your lineup. So you'll invite people that are different genre tastes, and then they will get to sample other genres as well. So they might fall in love with a band that they never thought they would fall in love with.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I found that was the most successful, not to burn your audience. Because if you're always doing the same shows, and because like it's so limited, right? Like especially Western Sydney. Like try to get a gig in Western Sydney, man. I hope it changes though. I hope that changes. I still burn to play, man. I still burn to play. Yeah. My neighbours know it, that's for sure.
No, I get it too. Actually, like it's just that feeling of being on stage. Sometimes it's unrivaled. But I don't know. I think it wore down for me after a few years. It's just the business of the music industry, the business of getting people to come to your gigs, the business of getting like 4 other people in the same room to rehearse, and then just trying to make sure that your music gets out there, like aggregated and then listened to, and then making wanting to make music videos and such for it to complement that. It's just a fucking nightmare. I'll just put it out. That's like the worst thing about it, when
Well, I think it was as well the stronghold that the venues had.
Yeah, that as well.
That's really what killed the spirit. No, not killed the spirit, but kills the spirit of a band. Because you have the, it's good when you got a new. It was always funny when we had a younger band join our bill. Right, you have this younger band. They're like, "We're gonna be fucking rock stars." You're like, "Remember when we were like with that? We were like before the weight of the world crushed our spirits." Remember that? We're like, shit, that was 20 years ago. You're like, fuck, we're getting old, bro. But the thing is, like, when I was 30, I never thought I'd be a 40-year-old rocker. I never thought that I'd be still screaming into a microphone at 40. Now, I've done that, and now that the band has gone under, I'm like, I've got an idea for a new band. I've got a new idea for a content stream for that. I've got guitarists in mind. I've got drummers in mind. I'm like, I think I can put this together.
Just do it, man. Just do whatever you love. Like, you're obviously, like, really driven by the arts and music and film and all that, So just do what makes you happy.
Can't help it as a passionate drive. Like, even doing the show, man.
Yeah.
I want to talk to other artists. I want to see what makes them tick. Share anything that I go, well, this worked for me, man. Try this out, There's that aspect to it, but making film though, I find that there's a relationship between making film and music, right? What were you in the band? Are you a guitarist or?
So I was a drummer in a band.
Drummer.
Yeah, we're called Vacant Shade. We were around for like 10 years. So which is longer than most bands, as you'd know. Like it still haven't quite. We still haven't quite called a day, but it's kind of fizzled out a bit. We haven't played a gig in like 3 years. COVID, I think, was the final nail in the coffin. But
you just got to find. You need that one guy to light the fire.
Yeah. You need the one guy to light the fire.
One guy light the fire, then someone else will be lit and to do it. But if it all disintegrates, you go, well, we've got to reset it.
It's so
hard to set up.
Exactly, and that's the thing. The somehow the more time that sort of lapses between your last rehearsal, the harder it is to pick that back up. And going like, I've got a drum kit and I might play it like once a month or something like that, even less. It's sitting there. It's like right next to me, right next to my workstation. Like yours is here. And so my drum kit's like right there next to it. But it's just a matter of it's also much more fun playing with people. But
oh man, if I didn't have this podcast set up here, I'd have a set of electric drums here. That's what I'd be doing. To the annoyance of my band though, because when you muso switch around, like so I'm a vocalist, right? And like when a vocalist sits around a drum kit, everyone goes, "Oh fuck it." Yeah.
You know what? No, that's not even that bad. When the guitarist sits at the drum kit, they're just like, I just fucking want to hit my head against the fucking drum kit instead.
I tell you what, our bass guitarist Steve, when he sat at a drum kit, man, he loved the double kicks and like all the technical sort of prowess of stuff like Meshuggah, right?
Yeah.
So New Millennium Cyanide Christ every time, without shadow of a doubt, man. Me, I'm just a 4/4, and if I can get someone to play guitar with me while I'm drumming, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I get you.
If we can communicate, and they're like, okay, we've got it together. It's garbage, but we've got it together.
I'm the same with the bassist though. The drummer and the bass, like I find that's always really nice. There's that sort of connection. They're both rhythm instruments and such, and then the guitarist comes in and just like, what are you doing here? You invited to the party? Three's a crowd here. Can you fuck off? Anyways, that's just me. If I could do Royal Blood, I would, man. I would be a Royal Blood band.
Oh, dude. But it's interesting that you say that, right? Because there's a relationship between a bass guitarist and a drummer. They have to, at some level, have strong communication.
Yeah.
Not just musically, but on outlook of how we achieve this music, especially in original music. And the same relationship is with lead guitar and a vocalist, right? They've got to fall in love in some way because they've got to feed off each other's storytelling. Yeah. And then we have those two components that are storytelling that need to synthesize with the drummer, bass, and lead. The rhythm guy, he's just a crossroads of the figure eight. He's just everywhere between. He's just trying to keep everyone fucking happy.
He's chilling there. I love it.
They're always the most rhythm guitarists are the most patient people I've ever met, man. They're always patient. Drummers will snap quicker.
Yep.
Bassists are usually a bit more secluded, and they will
back.
They'll snap they'll back up a drummer. Like if a drummer's snapping, they'll go, "No, he's got a fucking point." Lead guitarists and vocalists will always argue. They'll always get along, but they'll always argue. The strange thing that I found when you do film crews, right? Cinematographer
and sound.
Yeah. Cinematographer and director.
Oh, okay.
That's your lead guitarist and the vocalist ego problem.
Okay.
How are we shooting this film? No, you have the vision. No, but what do you want me to do?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think the sound guys and the when you start looking at the editor, it's more of a drummer, right? Because they actually create the rhythm in the piece. They're the one they're the one actually telling the story, but no one acknowledges them. Because they always look at the vocalist and the lead guitarist. It's very rare that a drummer is like the front person of a band.
So is a sound recordist like the bassist, where they're kind of just in the background and
no one gives a shit. Yeah, they're like, that's what it is. Unless you're Les Claypool or someone like that. But that's what I found, the strange comparison between it. But I reckon it's easier. It's definitely easier to set up a film crew.
Oh, 100%. I was actually going to bring that up,
It's easier to do.
You've met Noel before, and I was doing a web series called Axmodeus with the...
I love Noel. Big shout out, bro, if you're listening.
He's sick. Love Noel. Yeah. But, we did something like 20 consecutive, months or almost pretty much because COVID popped up in and there. But we made 20 consecutive, shorts and releases over 20 months or something like that and such. I could not do that with a band doing gigs. Like that just would not happen.
It wouldn't tolerate.
No, it just wouldn't work,
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
we're talking about like obviously pre-production, like writing, pre-production, getting that film out there and all that sort of stuff, editing, grading, whatever, marketing the damn thing on a month by month basis and stuff. And we fucking did it. And that was a short film. Putting a band together, I think it must be just something about the psyche of musicians. And in a way, musicians are very similar to filmmakers in a way.
They are. There's a similarity.
But they're flaky. They're so flaky. It's just like herding cats. I don't know what it is.
It is. It is like herding cats.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is either. Because we had a jam room. We had it was called the Dank, right?
Yeah.
Again, another Simpsons reference for you younger listeners out there. But the Dank was a Kennard's hire
Storage
shed.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, with a PowerPoint out the front.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So just run a lead into that, and we can run all the boxes, everything we need. PA,
cool
a
setup.
lot of it.
Yeah.
Soundproofed it, spray painted it, made it look like the Ninja Turtles fucking lair. And we had that for 10 years, man. Set up there all the time. It literally was 2 kilometres down the road from here.
Yeah, wow, okay.
But I'd never visit it every week. But I'd always take other musicians in there, veteran friends of mine to let them sing. I go, there's no one here, man. We're in an industrial complex. And I've got a microphone that has 800 watts. Are you in?
Can't say no to that.
Can't say no to that, man. I go, I'll just put the an iPad on, on a stand and go, what song do you want to sing, man? Let's see if we can get a response. Let's see if we can get security around, man.
I love it.
Oh, that was cool because we worked out with Kennards. You have hobbyists that show up in your venue and rent space. We're like, well, we're a heavy metal band, just letting you know. Industrial space, there's no issues with that. Sound complaints, they go, industrial space, it's 180 decibels, man. We're like, well, we'll try.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it under.
We'll try to get it there.
Okay.
Well, I had a mate that worked at Bunnings that was across the road.
Yeah.
And he says to me one day, he goes, man, I was listening, there's this band that's down the road, and when they were practicing, man, they were so shit. Like, we heard them and go, these guys have got to fucking put their back into it. And he goes, about a year later, they just clicked, and it was like, we were like, yeah, this is really good. I'm like, where do you work? He goes, oh, on Castlereagh Road. I'm like, that's my band, man.
I love that.
That's my band. But, you have this space that's highly inviting. No rules. No one's going to interrupt you. I think we had security interrupt us twice in 10 years. Are you allowed to do this? Yeah, man. We rent the space.
We had the cops visit us a few times. I used to rehearse at my house. I'm the drummer, so I used to rehearse at my house or whatever. And a few times used to practice out of the garage. When I moved it out of the garage into the dining room or whatever, it was fine. I had the cops visit a few times or whatever. Luckily, I was under 18 all those times or whatever, so it wasn't my fucking responsibility now, was it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was once practicing in Townsville in a band called Leaving Metropolis.
Oh, that sounds really familiar, actually, yeah.
Yeah, no, we were a little bit on the scene, yeah.
Okay.
Years and years and years and years ago. But we were in a recording studio, and the police showed up.
Yeah, okay.
And they're like, you got to keep it down. I'm like, we're in an industrial area in a recording studio. Like, that's the sign on the door, man. It's a music shop that has a recording studio at the back. And they're like, yeah, no, we've had complaints. We got to shut you down. We're like, that doesn't make it. What's the decibel level then? What regulation are you saying that we are breaching? Because it doesn't make sense to us. We're in an industrial area. Like, how could we be louder than a jackhammer?
I don't know what it's like in Queensland, but I think in New South Wales at least, if it's actually no, I probably shouldn't talk about this because I'm going to give any NIMBYs any bad ideas. But
give them bad ideas. They'll love it.
If the sound or whatever that your neighbor is producing or whatever from music or whatever is impacting your well-being somehow, you can report it and you can get that shut down or whatever. But it has to get to that point where it's impacting your well-being.
Oh, dude, they threaten to confiscate our instruments. Think about that. Like, whoa. So your solution to this problem is to take our gear. Like, that's...
I hate that.
No, but they rocked up like they were dressed ready to invade Poland, man. like the whole pit. Think about it as the artist, man. You there's a picture of it. You're like, do you understand what you just said and where we are and what we're doing? And because you had one complaint, and if we refuse, you're going to confiscate our instruments, and beyond that, you're probably going to arrest us for practicing music, man. That's insane.
It's so weird how much, I guess, it's so weird how much of a reliance or whatever, like keeping of the peace and everything like that. Like you can see all this stuff. I mean, I'm glad that the state governments, like they're talking about lifting that sort of noise cap on Allianz Stadium.
Yeah.
And such. Because I'm just thinking, like, for fuck's sake, when are we, like, who the hell would move next to a massive stadium?
You're going to have some interruptions once at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't want to deal with that, then go somewhere else. Go to the suburbs or whatever, where your band is not playing, but somewhere else. Like, just fuck off.
Same with the Annandale, man.
What's wrong with people?
People moved around the Annandale and they start saying, well, this pub is playing these bands and there's 500 people, 300 people walking out of this venue, going to the McDonald's across the road, and you go, well, you knew the McDonald's was there when you moved there, and you bought the apartment next to the pub that is literally registered as one of the main live venues in Western Sydney, and you're going, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they're the things that create the tides of making it hard for bands. But that's what I realised, man. Like looking at filmmakers, right? The cool thing about being a filmmaker is once you make the movie, you don't have to perform the movie anymore. It's made.
Absolutely.
You just got to get it into a machine, run it through a beam of light in front of a whole bunch of people to watch it.
Yeah.
You just got to find where that beam of light has the most bums on seats to get it done. And you can put that anywhere. We've been brokering content for Made in the West, winners and participants for 5 years now. So we've had people playing in malls in Melbourne, train stations in Western Sydney, parks and art galleries. We just did one at Blacktown Arts.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Yeah. We've got a run for 4 filmmakers, and they get a royalty check out of that. That's so like for us, like it's almost not worth the work. Like for us as a business, like I think we barely get over even on that deal. Like, and that's okay. I'm not like if you guys are listening, I'm not having a stab. I understand the situation. I'm just saying that it's really great to give a check to an artist going, we sold this for you, man, and this is the price that we got for you.
There you go.
Isn't that cool? They're like, oh wow, and they'll put that in to their next movie. And then what we're doing these days is we've launched our business, which is Made in the West Creative. So we're basically running as an agency where we're putting DOPs, directors, editors in contact with content people that are paying for content. And all we're doing is EPing it. So we still it's not like we're just putting them together and letting them go. What we do is we put them together. We're not putting them together. We mediate that space, and we make sure that we protect the artists so that they're getting a fair price and they're not being overworked. And we manage expectations with the client so that they go, well, this is your budget. You've asked for Avatar. But we let's just pull it back from Avatar and let's try to do
Titanic at least.
Let's do a B-rated Terminator 2.
Okay. Piranha 2, actually. That would be Piranha 2.
A B-rated Piranha 2 is what we can get you. And then we show them how to aggregate that content, because then they go, well, that's really expensive. You go, well, when you think about it,
it's an investment.
It's an investment. And when we build that, you can aggregate out of that content and actually get all your socials out of it as well. You've got like a good 6 months, 18 months, depending on the product and content. You've got a good 18 months there of snippets for TikTok, Reels on YouTube, Facebook, Insta. Like you've got a suite of content that you can just give to a low-grade editor to go, make me 7 of these, and here's an hour of content to do so. You have now a library of content that is going to then shorten your costs over the next year. So that investment's actually making you money. It's not just an investment; it's making you money on the long term.
Absolutely.
So that's what we do as the agency: is make sure that the artist is getting paid properly, and make sure that the client is getting the content that they paid for, and making sure that relationship is managed so that everyone gets out alive. Everyone wins. The agency wins. The artist wins.
Yeah.
The client wins.
We kind of live in a good time, like in that respect. I mean, for music especially or whatever, because you don't need to go through labels to get your music out there anymore. But for film as well, for films, it's actually like things like Film Hub and all that sort of stuff, and getting your content on Prime or Vidiverse and such by Alex Proyas.
Yeah.
Those are options.
Totally.
And the access to filmmaking and such is a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, I'm not running around making movies on fucking iPhones. And I kind of hate
But
when people
are.
try to.
But
People
people
are.
are.
I hate people that try to tell you to always do that. But like,
You've got to take cinematic rules with you, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's that option or whatever. The
Totally.
access, the
It's
bar
accessible.
of access is so much lower than it used to be. You don't need to invest in like a whole heap of Super 8 or 16mm film or 35mm film.
Yeah.
You can just buy an iPhone, use it for what you want to do, and then shoot with that shit. Not that I am going to shoot on a fucking iPhone, but at the end of the day, it's great that we have that option.
Oh, yeah, but you could shoot on an iPhone. Let me
could.
give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing your main production. So you got your main, you got an Ursa at the front, Blackmagic with a nice lens on it. Getting the right time of day with the right color palette, with the right focus, with the right talent in front of it. And meanwhile, you've got a PR manager in the background with a gimbal and with a phone going, these guys are cool.
Shooting
So you are, you what I say to you is like, don't remove the principal photography. Of course not. But don't forget to integrate these little cameras into your process, because the process and looking behind the looking behind the curtain of how we make film, people are very interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
And it feeds into that accessibility. So phones are a part of any production, but I would argue that phones at a minimum are a part of your PR campaign.
Yeah.
So even as the producers and directors and EPs of a production, you need to not just look at the principal photography, you need to look at the secondary photography. And all of that is done on a phone these days.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll get your stills guy in, don't get me wrong. Gala event, stills guy. You need someone who's going to get you sharp, in focus, candid shots. But that doesn't mean you also have your bite-sized guy that you get an intern, man. They're great at it, right? They're hungry to work on film, right? Get an attachment to your production and go, film us filming this. And then break the barrier of, that barrier when you're talking to a phone and you're trying to promote your own profile.
Yeah.
The first time you do that is quite confronting. Because you're like, oh shit, now I'm trying to sell myself. I'll do this wrong. People are going to hate me. It's going to blah, 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 blah. Realize that some people are going to hate you regardless. Some people are going to like you. Some people are going to love you. And if you can get that number of love up, you can raise the profile of the project that you're on. You can raise the viewership of that project, which will then feed into your next project, feed into collaborations of that project.
And then you can tell the people that hate you to fuck off. So there you go. It's
Success is the best fuck off, man. Success is the best fuck off. I've run into a lot of that actually. Not in a targeted way. Like I've run into people that the ones that told you couldn't do it. Run into those down the track, and they're like, "Oh, it's very nice that your thing's running." And it's unsaid. You go, "Yeah, no, it is nice that it's going." But in the back of your mind, you're like, "But you didn't fucking back me.
Yeah.
You didn't believe in me." But anyway, now you do, because you have to.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're already there, right? I think you were talking last episode or something about tall poppy syndrome, and it's rampant in this country. I think it's really sad. Australia loves an underdog until you're not one. But I'm actually starting to think they don't love an underdog. They just don't love anybody. That's just how this culture is. I don't know.
I've seen the contrast of this actually. I was talking about this. Big shout out to Brendan Byrne actually. I
love Brendan. He's great.
Yeah, I ran into him at the gym today. We had a big chat, and because he's trying to get his green card up for going to the States.
Really? Okay, cool.
And he's got content to sell. He's got content to make. He's really on a good path. And I was just saying to him, over at the States, man, they have a hero mentality. Like they don't have the tall poppy syndrome. It's all about
can-do attitude, right?
I'll go to your show and buy some merch. Like hear that in Sydney, you'd be like, shit, I'm on drugs, right? Like, that doesn't happen. Maybe Melbourne, perhaps. But nonetheless, the Australian markets for these sort of things are very much like, I don't need to buy a shirt. Why would I buy and support your band for? But you go over to the States, they'll be like, oh, wow, I'm so glad you guys wrote this. I'll buy a shirt to support your band. I can't wait to see you guys on stage. It's going to be great. They have that attitude. But the problem with that is that it's all about status. It's not a meritocracy. It's about whose eyes are on you. At least with the tall poppy syndrome, it's based on merit. That's why it exists.
Yeah.
So I was always quick to attack the tall poppy syndrome in Australia, but I realised it's a battle hardening baby boomer thing, or an X generation thing. It's a corporal punishment thing. It's taboo. It's not right. But the people that come out of that institution, 90% of them are really awesome and can do a lot of shit, but 10% of them deserve compensation for their treatment.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if I agree, because I reckon there's like two kinds of people in the world or whatever, and there's the people like, well, I went through this, so should you. And then there's the other people that are like, well, I went through this, so you shouldn't have to. And I kind of prefer the latter rather than the former.
I like that. And oh, shit, man, I've lost my camera.
Oh, no.
All right, we're going to pause. We'll pause.
Okay. There are two types of people. The ones that say, well, I went through this, so you had to go. You have to as well.
Yeah.
And then there's the other group of people which are like, well, I went through this, so you shouldn't have to. And I personally prefer the latter because it's like, well, why is suffering like a prerequisite?
Yeah. Why do I have to suffer punishment because you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you brought me across on that. That is true. There are, and I think those decisions are made out of, like most decisions, I think that is made out of fear and love.
Yeah.
I think the fear is like, well, I had to go through it, so you have to go through it. So you need to be battle-hardened the way that I'm battle-hardened. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And especially in the transition and the balance of our times.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going through. I think that's evident across the civil movements that we're experiencing. The little guy standing up. And I think, we're in this phase that no one knows what it is. 10 years ago, no one knew what it is, and now we certainly don't know what it is. And I think when we start getting into like even these AIs like ChatGTP, and I went into ChatGTP and I tried to get it to write me a script, and it did.
Okay.
It was a shitty script, but easily editable. So then you can go through and edit it and make it have pizzazz. So it can give you a basic structure. If you give it all your characters, all the scenes, give it a list.
Look, it should always... It could be used as a tool. Like, and it should never actually be used to write scripts. And I think that's what I don't want to talk on behalf of the Writers Guild of America. I think that's what they're up in arms about because there is the potential there. And I'll be honest, I saw it years ago or whatever. And we saw it.
Where did you see? Yeah, you've seen it before.
Well,
we've both seen it before.
Yeah, but years ago, that was that whole. Remember, they were making short films that AI wrote the script, or whatever, and they made a movie out of it. Thank you, sir. And they were all really funny because nothing made sense. I remember someone did AI Harry Potter. A Harry Potter book wrote itself, and then Hermione started literally eating her own head or something. There was something stupid in that. But I looked at it and I'm like, no, this is not good. This is gonna get to a point where it's really fucking good and people will lose jobs. I don't think that the writers will ever be made obsolete. I don't think so. I don't think the
artists will, no.
I think there's some technical jobs. I have a gut feeling that, dialogue processors in sound design, they're going to go because AI is going to make a template of all these actors' voices and be able to work out the proper intonation, everything. Just out of this catalog and then just be able to do that. ADR is going to be a thing of the past, I have a feeling. If it isn't already.
Yeah. That's bad happen. For me. I'll make a little bit of money out of ADR. And Foley. But I don't think Foley's going away.
No, Foley's not going away.
But with that said, I just think if I reflect to the music industry, right, you as a drummer would know this, right? This is what I thought you were saying before. Drum machines came out. And that people go, well, what do you need a drummer if you can just do a drum machine? But what it did was it changed producers. So you would have producer drums versus human drums.
Yeah.
And there's some things that can be performed live, and there's some things that can't.
Yeah.
They're not possible to do live. And that's creeped across all genres, from heavy metal to R&B, man. Those beats exist. There's actually I think her name's Africa Green. I follow her online. She's a drummer that tries to do producer drum beats and replicate them as a drummer. Okay. So she tries to do the war against the producer. Who can win, the drummer or the producer? And I think she's got a ratio about 70-30. Okay. She gets them 70% of the time.
Those are still pretty good odds right there.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You can add the machine. You can add that machine to this as a supply of medium, right? You can create drum beats. I've even been suspect of some hits that have been out. I go, that sounds like a Fruity Loops randomization, man. They just randomized that and they made that a song, surely. And I think those things have occurred already in art. And as well, if you look at plagiarism as a whole, Shakespeare apparently, he's supposed to have all the original stories, right? But when historians dig deep, apparently a lot of these stories were written by his understudies. Yeah, and he just put his badge on it. It came out of my writing house. That's my story.
It goes back even further. I think we were talking about off air about the Bible and a lot of the stories in that and Christianity. A lot of the the verses and such were adapted from other myths that existed before.
So is there any way that we can sue people that own the Bible for plagiarism? Is where we're going with this? Can we do that?
I mean, we could try. Probably make a monster, that's for sure.
Oh man, if they went after the guys at what was it? I saw it today. Blurred Lines. Remember,
What was it? Robert Thicke or something?
Robert Thicke, yeah, and they had no melodic similarity, no rhythm similarity, no bass line similarity. Literally had no similarity, but they got what $150 million payout. And
wow.
But that's based on an argument of ownership, right? Where the ownership doesn't fit. I think the saddest one I ever heard about actually was Kookaburra Sits in the Old Gum Tree.
Oh yeah.
That was tragic. What was that?
Land Down Under by the Man at Work.
Yeah, because it had the flute solo. And I think he topped himself after that.
I don't know if he topped himself, but he definitely got really sick after it, and the stress of the court battle and having to lose 50% of the of the earnings of that colossal track in Australian history.
Yeah, I think the right word is colossal. Yeah. Like it is yardstick.
It's in fucking every not Australian movie, but every American movie about Australia ever.
Everyone knows that song.
Yeah.
I've got goosebumps thinking about that song.
Yeah.
Right? And clearly that was it. It was a breach of copyright.
It was also like a real coincidence that that happened, because it was. I think it was. Was that ABC
causally
show?
Effect, though? Yeah, it was.
Tits and Tats or something like that, or
I know
Bibs and Bobs or whatever it's called, like that show.
I know the show you're talking about. It's the quiz show.
Yeah,
with the guy from Last Leg.
Adam Hills.
Adam Hills, that's his name.
Yeah,
we've got the name of the guy that done the show.
It's Spicks and Specs. That's
what
it
is.
Spicks and Specs. Yeah.
Spicks and Specs. Yeah. So we got everything before except for the name.
Yeah, there you go.
Name of it. Yeah, but he did it as a question.
Yeah.
And that was what rolled out of it. So two lawyers gone, we can make some money here, and like no artistic merit whatsoever in the argument. Here's a legal argument that we can make a couple $1 million and destroy someone's life.
Yeah. And it happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, but these cases exist. Is my point. Like, and when I look at like AI art, looking at what's going on here? What are you doing, buddy? Is that better? There we go. That's better. I was getting a bit of hissy there, wasn't it? When you look at the AI, it's I think it's just another one of those producer things, like automatic drums. People that put randomized words into word generators. Like I remember I was trying to name a band once. I was putting it into a word generator. It's a bad way to name a band. But now I reckon if you I should try that on ChatGPT. Band names.
It's really fucking hard. I know this guy Tom who's in this band. His band's called 90 Ivy. And he was telling me they went through something like 600 band names until they found something that wasn't fucking taken.
Oh,
ever,
wow. Wow, that's really hard to do. Yeah. It is hard to do. There's bands that I've been in that we've gone, fuck it, I don't care, we want this name. The one that really bothered me, actually, is we watched a show called Regular Show.
I loved the Regular Show back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day it was mad, right? It's still mad now. And there's a character in it called Mordecai.
Yeah.
We're like, that's a mad band name, man, Mordecai. Oh, metal name. We go, there's a band in Canada that's Mordecai. Like,
Dude, no.
Dude, this has ruined me. I actually have a really good band name at the moment, but I'm not going to let it out on this podcast. I've got a project in the back of my mind. I told my wife the other day, I know I've got to make these like films that are coming up. I know I've got to be an EP on this thing. I know I've got to do the festival. And we've got to launch, continue launching the business. However, I think I need to start another studio and another band. She goes, it's not going to make us any money. I'm like, but that's what everyone ever has ever said to me about performing music. Because you talk about the lunacy of being in a band, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking lunacy. It's like herding cats. That's a perfect way to say it. But I still want to do it. I still want to perform. But I guess there's one way I do get my licks other ways. I've been like performing on stage and screaming into a microphone is... I can't explain it. It's kind of like, maybe it's like surfing a little bit. It's like catching a wave.
Okay.
You can bomb. You can crash out on that wave if you don't do it right. But if you get your fitness up and you choose the right wave, you can have an awesome time.
Okay.
And that's with the crowd. That's with your band. That's with the situation. And And when you surf that wave, you go, well, I'm just going to paddle out and go get me another, right? And it has that feeling to it. And I suppose the other feeling I've had is performing on screen. There was a relationship between those things, because the guy that you talk to that was on stage is not the guy that you're talking to now. It's a very Fight Club mentality. You know, the performer that, you know what it's like when you're in the flow as a drummer?
Yeah, yeah.
You're not you.
No.
You're this other thing.
Robot.
You're this other thing.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of drums, man, I've always asked this of drummers, and I'm going to ask you, because I always end up with drummers on my show. I don't know how that works. Click tracks, right? Do you do live shows with a click track?
No, never.
Never done that?
Never done. No, never done a click track once. I know some drummers really like to or whatever, but I just prefer it's messy. I think the human ear or whatever wants some sort of I can't find the word for it, but like lack of continuity. Like there is going to be a little bit. Yeah,
it's going to be different every time.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And that's just how it is, you know. I personally think that's great. It's never gonna. You're never gonna have every drummer has their own little sort of. I can't say circadian rhythm. That's about, you know, but they have their own rhythm. Yeah. They have their own little BPM or whatever that goes in their head that they'll play into or whatever.
Yeah, when they visualize rhythm. Well, it's strange when you do when you say that as well, because I get what you're saying. It's about other experiences other than the rhythm that tie into the rhythm, and everyone has that differently. Yeah, like I do that with vocal lines. Yeah, I think I was doing today. I was doing a "Sweet Child of Mine" in a medium guttural vocal.
Yeah, okay. How did that go?
Awesome. I had a really good time. Because when you flex, it's kind of when you flex that thing. It's kind of when you do the drums. It's just there's this thing that's coming out of your body, and you got this idea in your head, and it's coming out of your hands, coming out of your feet. When I do, and I find a relationship between writing as well. When I write, it's coming out of my hands. When I sing, it's coming out of my torso. Yeah. The torso is the instrument. When you really do those guttural vocals.
The diaphragm, to be specific, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you really got to work it, man. It's not just about, you know, if you try to scream and yell, it's not yelling. It's more like a gritty yodel, if there's another way to put it. You know, it's a gritty yodel. Yeah, yodeling. You know, you have to have the ability to bend note. So you got to have a you got to have a tone. You got to get into the tone. You got to bend the tone, man, and you got to bend between notes. And you know, you can flex those notes with a root note or off a root note. You know, it can be offset or onset. You know, and it's doing "Sweet Child of Mine," man. Doing transitions when you go from a high end and then you get to a low end. At the end of the song, there's a part where that can be achieved. Because no, that's "Sweet Child of Mine." What was I talking about? So, no. I forgot I fucked this up. It's November Rain. I was doing November Rain.
Close enough.
Yeah, I was doing November Rain. At the end of November Rain, man, there's these transitions that Axl Rose does, and you're like, and I achieved it, but I did it in my own way. I'm like, oh man, it's kind of like doing a grind on a skateboard. You know, like you have a transition, you're like, and you land it, you're like, yeah, you know, you just fucking yeah.
I know that. For the drummer thing is that when you land a fill, it can be so easy to fuck those up, especially if you got something sort of semi-technical. Yeah. But yeah, like if you just land it, you get through that. That's when you land, like, you know, the skateboard trick.
And that transition.
100%.
Getting between those two compartments, man. And you can do when I do that with voice, I just find that man, even talking about, I'm like, I'm gonna go do some singing after this, you know. I just find that I'm highly obsessed about it. I'm obsessed about noise coming out my face, you know. I like the sound of my own voice. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Hence why I've got a podcast with my name in it. But, you know, to get around the silliness of that, I think about it day and night. I think about surfing day and night, and I think about making films day and night. I can't get stories out of my head. The only way I can fix that problem is by getting on a set and directing a performance, or getting on set and doing a performance. So the transition for me is getting out of music and getting into film. But I don't want to forget the angry man on stage, that guy that created mosh pits, that guy that lost himself so far that he didn't know what he was anymore. And then after that came back and was like, fuck, that was good. I don't even know what happened, but I feel good. And you go back and watch the footage of it, and you're like, shit, man. Shit. That's incredible.
I know what you mean though. Like at the end of the day, you're just an artist. You know, you're not just a writer. You're a director. You're a musician. You're a singer. You're a vocalist. You probably have done a stint in stand-up comedy and stuff like that. It's just all this creative. You live to be creative, and that's absolutely. That's fucking awesome or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't see why there's like that single trajectory. Like you've got to just be this. Most people I know, like Matt Vella, producer, like that's working with me, a director and
big shout out, Matty.
Love you, Matt. He's a great guy. But yeah, he like bouncing between like being a filmmaker and such, and also music and stand up comedy and podcasting and stuff like that. It's like, well, look, we're just filling our lives with stuff that makes us feel ourselves. It makes us feel like we're creating something.
Yeah.
If we were all just doing something like I used to stack shelves at a big department store, man.
What was the department store? Can I ask?
Yeah, it was Big W.
I did Big W, man. Yeah, Big W brothers.
Yeah.
I was a night fill at fucking Big W.
What one?
I was in Campbelltown.
Oh, okay. I was at Blacktown. Anyways,
this is fucking insane, man. Fuck yeah, night fill. Pays higher.
Did you call it Bourgeois?
Bourgeois? No, I didn't call it that.
Okay. So there's a little Target and all that sort of stuff. Bourgeois. But you called it Bourgeois.
I like that.
That's why we call it fancy. But
yeah,
anyway,
fancy.
That's how I funded my first feature film, man. Like, I just stacked shelves for fucking 7 years and then bought, and then just put whatever money into that.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what we were talking about.
Oh, man, I'm totally lost in the fact that we were both doing night fill at fucking Big W at different periods of the fucking, while the earth is turning.
Crazy.
And we're both taking that money and putting it into art.
There you go. I guess it was my first producer when you think about it. Anyways.
Yeah, I was paying for the first band through, because I would have been like 17, 18 when I started at Big W. Yeah, man, I was putting that money into the band.
I was doing the same thing. Like, we recorded an EP and an album and such like that just on Big W money. So there you go.
It's totally possible, man. But that's the thing,
Capitalism.
right? You got to feed the monkey, right? Yeah, again with the film, man. Like I just try to get what I try to do these days is get the gear to pay for itself.
Yeah.
So the Pagey Train, man, I go and do streaming services for people, pays for itself. If I got paid for the Pagey Train one day, that'd be fucking awesome. But I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the podcast, having conversations and learning stuff, man, and finding resonance. And this is a mad interview because I was talking when I was thinking about it, man. The journey of a musician and the journey of a director or a DOP or an actor, they're very similar. They're very similar in nature. It has the hallmarks that I look at is it has like a performer on stage, right? It's a paradox. You are selfish because I go, I love doing this. I loved it. This is for me. But there's a part of you that's like, well, I don't want to do this just for me. I want to entertain people.
Yeah.
I want people to be excited about this content. And there's that moment in film where when you're on stage as a performer, you don't see the crowd unless someone's filming the crowd and you go and watch it later. As a filmmaker, you're sitting in the crowd watching people watch your work. And that's where I find we're talking about the drain of doing music because you do the show after show. You got to go and load up, set up drums, set up everything, deal with a sound guy, which is always fucking horrible. Yeah. Deal with a promoter that's trying to rip you off. Deal with a venue that doesn't want to pay you. And dealing with an audience that always isn't receptive, right? So you got to win a lot of people over all the time. It's fucking draining.
And you never do. Unfortunately.
You just don't. Ultimately in Sydney you don't. You just don't. Yeah, you're right. You feel like you do, but ultimately you don't. No. Filmmaking though, totally different. Same deal. It's the same deal, but I think the performance part's removed because you've done the hard work in producing it, directing it, shooting it, acting in it. The work's done. All we need to do now is market the thing that we've built. When you're in a band, you've got to build the content and then constantly market the content that you're reproducing over and over and over again. With film, you go out and you make another movie. Yeah. We just make another short. And they're your singles, right? And we're trying to get to the album, which is the feature. Yeah. That's what we all want. I want to go work. Anyone I talk to, we all want the feature. Yeah. Whether it's a horror film, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a drama, we all want the feature. Yeah.
I get that. And, like, as a person that's made a feature film before, my, like, biggest piece of unsolicited advice, is
allow me to solicit it. What's your best piece of advice for making a feature?
Thank you for asking. I never thought you would. But it's just don't ask for permission. Just go out and do it. You know, like don't get me wrong.
Advice.
Don't get me wrong. Like budget does matter and all that sort of stuff. But there's
stay
always
within your realm. Stay within your realm.
You know, but yeah, like you won't get off making a $15 million feature film off the bat. That's just not really likely unless you're like Dad Steven Spielberg.
Unless you're born to it,
like
yeah.
That.
Unless you're born
and
to
nepotism is a real thing.
Totally.
We
were artists in Western Sydney. We're doing it at best.
Oh, the opposite of nepotism. What is that? Like gatekeeping or something like that. Anyways.
I don't know. Well, I guess, look, on that topic though, man. On that topic, Luke. Like, that's what I like about Western Sydney artists, man. That's what I like about us. If you go back 10 years... alternative music aside, alternative music were very, they go, well, this is who we are, deal with it, right? And they took an aggressive posture in marketing their content. If you look at the film community in Western Sydney, I see something different. And what I see is, I'm glad to have been a beacon and proponent of this, is that don't apologise for your postcode. Don't apologise for your background. Don't apologise for your family's second language. Don't apologise for your social economical background. Don't apologise for where you come from. That's actually the thing. You should lean into that.
100%, yeah.
That's not the only thing you should do. Don't get me wrong, you should do a vast many things, but what you should not do is shy away from your heritage and shy away from your postcode, shy away from your haircut, shy away from the way that you present yourself to the world. That's the way that you are. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact... if you look at Western Sydney content, way more marketable than anywhere else in the country. Maybe Western Melbourne as a comparison. Maybe. If you look at Gold Coast content, if you look at Western Australian content, if you look at Sydney CBD content, a lot of similarities, right? If you look at the contrast of content that's out this way, the film clips that are happening, the short films that are happening in drama, horror, action, all very different.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Or you cannot. Like, I try to predict it when I watch this. Like, I watch probably 100 short films a year from Western Sydney, right? Try to predict it. You can't. It's literally impossible. But when I get one from certain parts of the city, I go, oh, I know what this story is. I dare say this is going to be blonde damsel in distress. And it's going to be this heroic guy that didn't do the choreography on his fight scenes correctly. So he didn't hire the right guy. He hired his friend to do it, and it didn't work out. It's, I see where it's coming from. When I try to predict who wins Made in the West, impossible. It's fucking impossible. To see the contrast of what we get delivered every year, impossible. It's literally impossible.
Oh yeah.
And the strange experience that I have is watching this content from being the backyard tinkerer on top of, milk crates in a dilapidated cinema to being in an event cinemas on a $4 million projector. The contrast that I see in that space is that it all is a trajectory to international content that is original, which is really hard to do. The originality that I see that comes out, and it's organic too. You don't have to try.
Well, that's one thing that I noticed, especially from the selection from your from the last year, I should say, or whatever. Like you can sort of always. It's a weird thing. You can always tell when some, dare I say, like an outsider has come in and told like a poverty porn story and such, and like it's looking down on the West and such. But an authentic Western Sydney story or whatever is authentic Western Sydney.
Yeah, poverty porn. Yeah,
and
I know what you're saying.
You were sort of like I'm sort of sidestepping that little bit, but. There is a bit more of a film community out here, whereas in the eastern suburbs and such, it feels more like a film competition. Don't get me wrong, we still want to get jobs, we still want to get paid to work or whatever, but we're a bit more supportive out here. And I don't think it just carries on from the film community. I used to go to University of Sydney. It was like probably some of the worst 6 months of my life.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to talk about it in the same fact that it was very kind of alienating. A lot of people were like, well, what are you doing here? It was very hard to make friends. As soon as they found out you were from Western Sydney, a lot of people wouldn't be interested in
Stigma
you.
straight up. Stigma straight up.
And I went to UTS, like, down the road
because
or whatever,
you live in a housing commission that is next to a crack dealer.
And shootings happen every fucking day of the week.
Yeah. And
I've been shot twice.
Yeah, you've been
that's
shot twice,
week.
right?
But anyways.
Yeah, but that's the stigma, man. That's the stigma. But what I'm proud of is that we've eroded that. And we were trying to knock on their doors to get content out, right? Get filmmakers interested. And we're trying to get to that space. But what I realised, the lesson that I learnt, was, fuck that. Build your own house. Invite all your friends to build that house with you. Invite their friends to be invited to, participate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Allow the cohorts to grow. You'll have your rock stars. They'll go out, start making features. They'll throw a rope back in 3 years' time after they finish their feature. But that doesn't mean we don't push the next guys through either. The solidification of that for that industry is about communication. It is about inclusivity, but without saying inclusivity. I know this sounds crazy. You don't have to be inclusive in Western Sydney. It's really easy.
It's already there.
It's already there.
Multiculturalism's already there.
It already exists. You don't have to try and do that. All you got to do is base content on its watchability. Can you watch that again? And when you watched it the first time, did you laugh? Did you cry? Were you interested? Were you intrigued? Would you? And those questions bring you back to: would you watch it again? And the thing that blows me away about Main and West every fucking year, man. You can't predict it, but somehow it gets better. Like it's already at the top echelon. You go, can't possibly this. I know this was a good year, but it can't possibly be better next year. It's not possible. But then some way and somehow, someone blows the fucking roof off. And usually they have a partners with them. Like they're not the only person that blew the roof off. They were just They were just the one that had the loudest bang. There's 3 people that were competing to blow that roof off, and if that other person wasn't there, those other 2 would have done it. Like they were. The winner of Main the West comes down to a point. If you win Main the West and you were runner up in Main the West, you probably lost by 1 point. That's how tight it is.
Yeah.
The best section of Main the West that I argue. And I always remind people of the people that won Main the West have generally entered 3 or 4 times, or they're a blue. I call them a blue flamer. You know those people that you went to film school with, and they come out of film school like, "Oh, you're just on fire, man. There's no stopping you." They show up, but they are far and few. General majority have submitted before, gone to that middle spectrum, lower spectrum, and eventually win. Right? Everyone that's won Main the West has entered prior. Before they won. No one's ever come in and gone, I just win Main the West. Like, it never happened. Even Audience Choice Awards. Like, we had a student win the Audience Choice Award once.
Was that the Hello, My Name is Mother Nature?
No. That was Towelhead.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that was a UTS production, I think.
Yeah, actually. Man. Yeah. Like, it spoke volumes, right? Yeah. It was about Islamophobia, but really, that was the smallest part of the story. That was the context. The subtext was speaking to every artist that's ever made content ever in this region. And that's why it connected. That's why it fired on every cylinder. That's why it was an impactful film, because it spoke to everyone in the room. Very hard thing to do. That was a blue flamer. Never made a film before. Right, that was their first film. That's a rare occasion, man. It's the solar eclipse, right? The other 90% of the films that have been entered, like we had Blame the Ovens, right? They did really well last year. 4th time entering, first time getting a screening. You know, it took them 4 times to get in. That's how passionate they are. They didn't give up. And that's why I say to people, it's not the top echelon that you got to worry about. All you want to do is get in that bottom group. Because out of films that we judge, there's always 4 clear winners.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's 4. Yeah, we don't know who's going to win, but it's one of those 4. Yeah, or you always know. The hard ones are the ones out of the bottom. You're like, fuck, they're so similar and so close to each other. You're like, shit, man, they've got the same score. They're tied. Then you got to curate it. It's not about judgment. It's about curation at that point. So you go, fuck. Well, which one can we market and which one? Okay, so how many times this guy entered? So he's done twice. I'm like, that one's done 3. It's their shot. They even score. So if you had someone that got in twice, that didn't get in, and you had someone that entered 3 times and again get in, but their films were equal score, depending on the duration, you're going to select the guy that entered 3. Because you go, man, if I don't get this guy on screen, man, he's going to run away. They're the hardest ones, man. The winners, easy. Losers, easy. No, not losers. I don't want to say it that way. The rejected films that didn't quite make it. The ones that are clearly out, technical proficiency,
stories,
attributes,
and all that. Yeah,
something didn't qualify, and they're clear. But it's the ones in the middle, and that's what I say to people: be in the middle. That's where the juice is. You at the raw. There's no more raw in it than that. That is the artist space. Because when you're winning it, you're a practitioner.
Oh yeah.
You're making money as a you're clearly making money as a commercial maker, wedding photographer, wedding videographer. You're making money somehow because you've learned the craft. It's like stand-up comedy or film or music, man. Any drummer worth their salt's been doing it for 10 years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's minimum. You need 10,000 hours doing that shit, man. Otherwise, you can't do it. Same with filmmaking, man. You can't expect someone to be proficient out of the gate.
Yeah,
out of the gate of filmmaking, right?
I get it. And I think one of my films back in the day, Dead Air, was a semi-finalist. Actually, and
Dead
then
Air. You were Dead Air.
I was Dead Air.
You were Dead Air.
So
that was a mad film because you done it in a radio. Oh, of course, the radio station.
Yeah, there you go. It all makes sense. It all comes together.
It all comes together.
But no, you're right. Like, and when things that go bump. Thank you. When things that go bump got into the festival, I was like over the fucking moon. I'm like, this is my second time. This is the second shot. I kind of get it. I do get it. Like, you're right. There's this flash. I don't want to say. Lightning in a bottle. I don't want to say flash in the pan. Lightning in a bottle.
It is
films,
lightning in a bottle, yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, this is. Some people have their first film and it's fucking fantastic. Like,
yeah, it just hit. It just stuck
and such. And then other times it's kind of a gradual progression, and I honestly get that. But I don't know, man. At the same time, I made a feature. I think it was discussed at Feature Film a few years back or whatever, and I'm recutting it now because it didn't fare too well, like on the festival circuit and such. But I sort of realized as well is that you're kind of vying for a bigger part of the festival program than what you would be with a short film. Like, don't get me wrong, there are less feature films being made, but a feature film is going to take up more of a program, so it's going to be a bit more selective at the same time. So
yeah, totally. But there's nothing wrong with a BC rated release, and and looking at that, right? You go, well, it didn't make the festival circuit, right? So you'd be disheartened by that, right? You go, oh shit, man, I worked really hard on that. I just sort of get a bit more attention. I say to people, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you made a feature film that just before it's won awards on your resume. That's mad.
But, you know, this is the issue, though, where tall poppy syndrome comes in this country. No one gives a shit that you've made a feature film. Because, I don't know, obviously, like, we were discussing about how accessible it is, or how accessible it was before. And they're like, that's great. But at the same time, it's like... The people are expecting a level of quality. People are expecting stars.
They do have expectations,
and that's really unfortunate. But doesn't matter. It was the best fucking film school I ever had, man. Like, that was great. I made it on a shoestring budget or whatever, and I got enough people together that were passionate enough to help me make it, and I'm really fucking grateful for that. And even though, like, you know, it didn't turn out... I stand by it. Like, it was a great, like, little indie feature film or whatever. It's still better than a lot of the other ones I've seen. But, like, it was a great fucking film school, man. It was a great... I do just recommend anyone to go out and just do it. And people like Dave O'Hardy are doing it, like, constantly.
Yeah,
people like Heath Davis. Have you had Heath Davis?
Yeah, I haven't. He won't come on the show. He's hard man to reach. He's a very hard man to reach. I had him on as he's been a judge for Made in the West, and he just launched actually a film festival.
Yeah, okay, I didn't
which
know
was
that.
called the Inner West Fests. So
that was him.
Yeah, that's Heath Davis. Yeah. But I'd love to get him on the show. Heath, if you're listening, man, give me a call. I've reached out a few times, but he's always busy.
See, Matt and I pitched our my next feature actually, which is going to be called The Undesirables. Yeah. Keep watching.
I've heard a lot about this, actually.
Really? Yeah. But, we actually pitched it at the Inner West Festival. So I didn't know Heath was a part of it. I don't know him personally. It's actually a little funny story. I was supposed to be filling in for the soundy on his most recent movie, Christmas. And I got fucking COVID on the day of. And I felt so bad. At 6 a.m., I was supposed to be there at like 7:30 or something like that. Yeah. And I had to call up the producer and just say, I've got COVID, man. I can't come to set.
Yeah, you can't do it, man.
Yeah.
Well, no, Heath has been quite successful. He did Book Week, which is still playing on Stan if you want to go check it out. Very good movie. Very funny movie,
actually. Yeah, it's fun.
He did Broke. That was a football film about a disgraced football star. Steve Lamarcand was his main guy. He's done another Christmas film. I can't remember the name of it. Also with Steve Lamarcand. That will be coming out soon.
Yeah, Christmas. That's what it's called.
It's called Christmas? Yeah. So that's got Steve Lamarcand. That's coming out soon.
He's done a bunch of things, hasn't he? So
yeah, man. Well, so you see, with Heath and another guy that I like to talk about is Michael Budd. Actually, so he's another director. He did. Sorry, Michael, I forgot the name of your movie. I had you on a few weeks ago. But he's he's on. I think he's on Stan and Paramount for his film. It's about a lady that had Alzheimer's disease. They shot it in New Zealand, I think they shot it in. Another great film, man. But another judge on Made in the West, right? So we get these guys to judge these films, but there's people that come out of this space that are doing things on the scene. Is where I'm going with that. You know, it's not unachievable. It takes work, and it takes a little bit of know. You got to handle. You got to have a rhino skin, man. Not everyone's going to want to fund your film.
Oh yeah,
no one's going to believe in you. You got to fund a few things on your own too.
Absolutely.
You got to pay for it.
Even Stanley Kubrick and such, I think he funded his first film on his own. And then he got his friends and family to fund his second one. I think it was called The Killer's Kiss or something.
Yeah, and then he was an Empire.
Sorry, Stanley fucking Kubrick.
Yeah.
I think one of the cameras are dead.
Oh, no. Oh, not again. Shit, man. It's killing me. This is killing me.
Funding your film and all that. And how you have to invest in it yourself sometimes. Yeah, and even people like Stanley Kubrick, Christopher Nolan, Robert Rodriguez, you know, all the usual suspects had to fund
indies. They're all indies.
They're all indies, and don't get me wrong, like it can somewhat be, I don't want to say disenchanting, but they were also lightning in a bottle films, a lot of them.
Yeah, but those kind of dudes or people, I should say, require that. Demand, or no, not demand, but command that kind of attention. I almost had it.
Oh, that's all right. But, you know, you're absolutely right or whatever. And, like, don't get me wrong, they were very talented in their own ways at the time. And unfortunately, the time is different. But when I was making my feature film, I printed out, like, a little document, like, you know, with just their names in big, bold letters and just stuck it on my wall and just looked at it every morning before I'd go to set or whatever and just be like, if they can fucking do it, you can do it. Doesn't matter how good or how bad your movie is. Just the fact that you've done it is just, you know, it's a feat in itself or whatever half the time.
Well, how many days did it take you to shoot the feature?
So I think it took 24 days, something like that.
Yeah, that's in the scope. Yeah.
Yeah, and we shot it mostly.
How many locations?
So, I don't even know. It was probably over 10.
20, over 10 or over 20?
Over 10.
Over 10, yeah.
We shot mostly in blocks from like Fridays to Sundays. Most of the time, like evening. Like most of the film was set at night, so we kind of had the benefit of that. Other times we shot day for night, so we blocked out windows.
Yeah, and day shooting is horrible.
At the end of the day, like sometimes birds and stuff suck, but at the same time, crickets and stuff suck, and you know they can appear at any time of day. But I do
ADR services. You ever have that problem? I'll do some ADR for you.
I might have to hit you up.
Do some Foley.
Yeah, we'll we won't even get the real actors in. We'll just get you in to just ADR it, and hopefully the audience
I can be them.
Yeah.
No one will know.
It can be anybody.
Oh, dude, I've got a confession to make. I've made this confession once before on the Pagey train. 2020.
Okay.
So I have certain clips that I do through the year that are I call them flagship clips. Like these are clips that I aggregate off.
Yep.
That require attention. That also promote the next cohort. And also when you're going for funding and you're confirming with clients, you're like, well, this is what we do.
Yeah. So
that quick point, like, shouldn't need a clip, bang, watch that, you'll understand what we do. All right. 2020. The producer didn't roll the audio. So they had a Zoom, because we had to do different mics because of COVID, right? Couldn't do the same mic, so I had to do different mics. So I had to do a separate system for, normally I just record straight to camera for something like that, right? Had technical issues with that between two film crews. So I'm like, okay, Zoom recorders, and I'll take camera mic and then sync it later. Yeah, not a problem, right?
That's what I
thought. That's what I thought. On a Zoom, when you push the record button, it'll flash, right? That's armed, not recording. You need to push it again.
Yeah, that's on a Zoom H4n.
H4.
Yeah,
H4.
Yeah.
H4
is H4n, I think, yeah.
Yeah, H4n, that's right. Yeah, that's correct. H4n, you have to arm it and then fire it. It doesn't just record like a camera where you just... Yeah.
The Zoom H5 and all that, and I use a Zoom F4. That just like records and just bang.
Oh, you just roll it, and you're speeding and you're on your way. Yeah.
I don't know why the H4n does the other way.
Doesn't do it that way. Yeah. And I didn't tell my producer that. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
He had a red light flashing, and a red light flashing. If you work at in TV, red light flashing tells you that that's recording.
That's unfortunate.
I've got all of the content. So I've got 5 minutes of content, which is my flagship clip, which, just a quick estimation, it's between 10 20 grand worth. If you look over the estimates of it, it's probably worth more than that because it's the advertisement for the following festival, yada yada. It's a big deal. It's my biggest clip of the fucking year. I don't have the audio for it. So I rang everyone I interviewed and the host. I got them to come in and ADR
All their interviews?
all of it.
Fucking hell, man.
And I showed someone from Fox Studios this. I showed them the clip without telling them
That it was ADR.
That it was ADR. I go, what do you think of this clip? I go, they go, oh, that was really well produced and nice. It was a good little promotional package. I go, oh, what about the technical attributes? Did you? They go, oh, it was good color correction. I said, what about the sound? What do you think of the sound? So, oh yeah, no, it was well recorded actually. I'm like, ADR, bro. He's like, fuck off. That's ADR. If you guys don't believe me, go and check out the 2020 clip highlights reel of Made in the West Film Festival. The whole thing is ADR. And in fact, I Foleyed all of the background as well.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm going to have to check that out myself. Because
Dude. Actually, I'll see if I can bring it up. I'll bring it up.
All right,
I'll bring it up. Because now I'm boasting about it. I'll bring it up. Let's
see, if you did show me, though, like you showed the Fox guy,
yeah,
that it wasn't ADR, it's going to be harder now.
It's going to be harder now, but let me show you. I'll show you.
All right.
I'll bring it up. All right. Hold on. What camera am I on? I don't know what camera I'm on. I'm on me. All right. Oh, we'll stay on me. Stay on me. It's all about me.
Stay with me.
Am I logged in? I'm not logged in. All right. So Made in the West. Bring it up, bro. There we go. I've obviously searched that before. Let's go. All right. So let's just hop in. Oh, that's playing. Oh, no sound. Why not no sound? You muted?
Welcome.
All right. That one's not the one. All right. That sucker there. There it is. 2020. All right. Let me just switch this over. Let's get this going. There we go.
Welcome to the 2020 Made in the West Film Festival.
Yeah, no, I can't tell.
That's ADR.
Yeah, wow, that's really impressive.
You hear the background?
Yeah.
All of it's Foley.
I saw Luke Walker walking by in the background. Luke Walker walking.
So let me just cut in further. There we go. This is my ADR.
There he is. Yeah, that's pretty fucking impressive, actually. What did you record it on? Like, obviously, you've got a dynamic mic.
Right here.
Did you use the same dynamic mic?
No. I use that mic there. That's my VO mic.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's all VO mic. Rode. That's a Rode. I think it's a N97.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I've given you a place to live.
Yeah. So
In pursuit of a future.
boom, baby. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So.
That film.
Oh.
What was it called?
Gollum. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a movie called Promise, and I released it around the same time, and it's just fucking like it.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, man. Oh, look, Gollum. Ryan Couchy, man.
Yeah.
He was doing stop motion for that. Yeah, a lot of.
Show you Promise, man. It's like it's a very, very similar plot.
Can I? Is it online?
So search Promise Axmodeus.
Hold on, let me just see what camera I'm on. All right, let me just. Just give me a bit of a chat about it, and I'll flick to you.
Okay. So as part of the Axmodeus crew, I made this movie in I think it was 2021 and such, and it was called Promise. It's based in Berlin in 1945, around the end of the war, just shortly before the end, actually. And Axmodeus.
No.
So search Promise Axmodeus.
How do I spell that? What's
AXMO.
AX.
MO.
Oh, hold on, I fucked this up, bro.
That's alright.
Yeah. AX.
MO.
MO.
Space.
MO space. O space.
DEUS.
DEUS.
Yeah. So that's the teaser. So scroll down to the second video. A Nazi. No, the next one.
The Nazi officer?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Let's just rock that to screen. Hold on.
So I made this movie in like 2021 as part of the Axmodeus web series.
Yeah.
And it's all in German, and it's basically about this, Jewish girl hiding out in, Nazi-occupied Berlin in this little hidey hole sort of thing. And around the same time we released this, Ryan Couchy made his film called Gollum.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not even joking,
Hey, don't tell me you're from Greystanes.
I'm not. I'm from Blacktown, so pretty much.
That's spinning, bro. Oh, man, this is very well produced, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, he did a 4x3 for Gollum.
We shot this in Oakhurst. There's a little mansion in Oakhurst.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant, bro. That is killer. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it's some of my best work. I'll be honest.
Oh, dude, this is mint. This is mint, bro.
They're really great actors as well. That's Chloe Schwank and then Martin Cohen. Really, really back them. They're fantastic actors. And Tovia, Kelsey Coleman.
Oh, dude,
So.
that was mad.
Thank
that
you.
was fucking spectacular. I'm really impressed. Have you entered this in the Made in the West? Why isn't it Made in the West?
I don't know. Well, maybe because of Ryan Couchie's Gollum film, perhaps.
It was a poor marketing decision. Ross, okay, I don't want to get into it.
But that's actually an interesting topic. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes people have similar ideas at the same time.
Yeah, they do.
But
yeah,
we were talking about it before about what's it called? Len Down Under.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this isn't a case of it. But are you familiar with Kryptonesia?
No, what's Kryptonesia?
Kryptonesia is I can't say it's a condition, but Paul McCartney got done by it a few years ago because one of his songs off Press happened to be very similar to the song
I actually do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a thing. Like, sometimes you'll hear something and you'll kind of forget about it, and then you'll think that you're making something super original, and then it's just not. It already exists.
It happens to me with jokes.
Okay.
Yeah,
It happens to everybody with jokes, actually.
Yeah, with jokes, like there's like 80% of the jokes that I say are totally regurgitated. You know, like I've heard them somewhere else before. But I'd say 20% of my jokes, I'm like, hey, that's a Roscoe, right? And usually I'm a punny guy. I like I find puns to be the highbrow of comedy, and I love a good pun. And people refer to them as dad jokes. And I like to get the ones that are, the ones that are tricky, where they go, oh, that's really clever. But I like to do the ones that like get that groan reaction where they go, oh. That's my favourite one, actually. I like those ones. But there's been a bandwidth in there where I've said a joke and I thought, that's fucking my baby. That's my one. And then I've heard it later. I'm like, oh, I heard that when I was 8. I didn't tie. Well, it was different. The premise was different. It was a little bit different. But no, that was generated from that thought at a subconscious level. And I think that's what that is, right?
It is 100%. It's Kryptonesia, and it happens, unfortunately, because stand-up comedians and such is the only sort of art form where you kind of can't steal.
Well, they do.
They do, but like, I don't know, because there are sometimes when there has been actual plagiarism, but sometimes I remember Adam Hill actually had this joke where it was like, he was talking about how the word "girt" in the Advanced Australia Fair and how it's kind of a weird thing, like, when cops are just like, all right, come outside, we have you girt, and that's his whole thing. But another comedian, like a few years later, did the exact same joke, and a lot of people were like, unfortunately, like,
but they're premises.
For it,
but premises, you can share premises.
But it was the exact same joke. Unfortunately, it was most likely that this other comedian just happened to think of the same. I've heard it before and then thought it was original, like their own idea.
Yeah, well, it was Robin Williams, man. Not Robbie Williams, but Robin Williams. He was known for cutting checks after events. Because he would go and do impromptu speeches after receiving awards or being on, even Robin Williams just being on the scene, like, give that guy a microphone. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. And occasionally he'd do his thing when he's on a paid gig, and he's like, and then someone come up in the crowd and go, that's my bit that you just did. And he was like, how about 15 grand, man? Well, I'm sorry. But and you can look at that several ways. You can go, man, he's ripping that guy off. What an asshole. But at the same time, you go, well, he's Robin Williams, man. Like, most of the stuff that he does is off the cuff. He likes the yell. He always does that. He always does the talking out the side of his mouth bit. But generally, like, he's a funny guy, man. Like, if you watch his stand-up, it's all OG. It's all original. It's just when he's off the cuff, sometimes he's got to cut a check because he went a bit too far. You go, well, that's the freedom of a highly successful comedian, right? But what about the guys that are, like, at Main the West? They're the ones that are in that middle bandwidth. The ones that made a film that's a Nazi monster film. Like, wants to release at the same time, man. Shit, man. You guys aren't talking. You guys
No,
don't know
I
each
don't
other.
know. I don't know the guy personally. I think he's a great filmmaker. I've seen some of his stuff. I've seen Golem. I thought that was fucking cool.
Oh,
But
dude.
it's just real coincidental, man. You know.
Super coincidental, but
Yeah.
I would say as well, like he's doing a different thing though, dude. He's doing a different thing to you. You're
Claymation sort of stuff, and sort of stylized 1960s almost.
Not so much that. There is those elements to that, but he's doing vertical films, man. What he's doing is really interesting. Like you're approaching the genre from a indie. I want to make movies point of view. 16:9, the 1:35 by 1 ratio. Cinematic stuff.
Widescreen stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do those widescreen stuff. He's not doing that. He's not doing that at all, man. He's literally flipping that. He's doing vertical films. So he's put like he's doing grey stains, right? He got some funding from the Screen Australia.
Yeah.
Got some funding from Screen Australia.
That might be what my mate Matt's working on. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Because he was talking about Grey Stains, the Grey Stains film, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, Matt is a what they call an attachment.
Yeah.
So he's attached to that film, which is really weird. I actually won't go into that on air.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not my place.
Yeah.
But there's relationships that you form that me and you would do on a film set. You go, well, I can only pay 60% of my crew. So I've got to pay the cinematographer. I'm going to pay the actors what I can. I'm going to provide food. And I'm going to pay the sound guy. But I'm going to have attachments that I'm not going to pay. Like that just happens at some level of filmmaking. There's other films that, don't get me wrong, there's other films I do. Everyone's paid on the crew.
Yeah.
But there's other events that I do there's 10% of the people there that are on a volunteer basis. They're just getting into the industry. You give them everything you can, but you go, well, you don't have resume, man. So you're not offering anything. We're offering you. So that line is quite blurred once you start getting government funding. You can't have volunteers.
well, that's the thing as well. I'm very much aware of that. If your stuff is considered under budgeted, they will not help you. And that's at the same time, I sort of get it.
I get it.
At the same time, like people out west, people that come from a working class background, might not have access to family that are lawyers and engineers and doctors and such. So I personally think it's quite...
It's community based. It's community based.
I want to say... like
and
I said, I'm
meritocracy
gonna
based
go-
as well. It's
yeah.
meritocracy, right? See, we were talking about this before, tall poppy syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So tall poppy syndrome is based on that meritocracy. But in the States, if it's a union, don't pick it up. You're not allowed to. If you're an actor and you go, well, I'm just sitting around waiting, I'll go help the crew. Like, no. You're not paid for that.
No.
You're not a part of their union.
In the States, you can't even... If you're a gaffer, you can't even... Like, you can set up the lights. You can't plug them in. The electrician needs to plug
That's
them in.
right. It's all segregated.
Yeah.
So that's all based off status. It's a status thing. So when people argue about, well, we should have a hero mentality, just understand, by having a hero mentality has a residual effect on the workforce. They're different workforces. They're more classist in nature. So with tall poppy syndrome, there's no classist nature. That's why it exists. Because they're going, we're all the same. You can't be above because you are us. So where are you going? The only way that you can burst through that ceiling is to be so fucking spectacular that you're undeniable. That's the only way to do that in Australia.
But it's hard, man. Like, as you know, it's a house of cards. You need, you don't need, but it's good to have, a good cinematographer. It's great to have good lighting. It's spectacular to have good sound. And it's fucking wonderful to have a great cast or whatever. I've been lucky to always have a great cast.
Yeah.
But they unfortunately, if you want marketability and such, you also sort of need a cast that does have some star power and all that sort of thing, and that can be difficult.
Yeah, it's profile. You got to get that profile. Right?
Yeah. But
you got to get that profile.
Yeah.
But with that said, we're in that bandwidth where the weight of the world has crushed our spirits, and we are just passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
We're not a blue flamer, right? We do good things. We make good products. It's undeniable. It's award winning. It has views online. We're undeniable in that respect. But is it in the stratosphere? No, it's not. It's not in the stratosphere. You've got to be realist, right? It's not in the stratosphere. Are we making headway? Yeah, but we're a slow progression. When we compare ourselves to those blue flamers, you're like, oh, shit, man. Not everything's like that. The journey is different for everyone.
Yeah.
But as a practitioner, man, you've been selling your content for a long time. And you know that as you're getting older, you're selling it for a higher price.
It's hard, man, though.
But you are, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all selling it at a higher price, but it takes time.
It does. The thing is, like, I'm jumping from being because I've always been a director. I've always been a writer and director, but jumping from being a sound recordist specifically or whatever to just being a director has been very difficult because people keep you in these boxes and such. And don't get me wrong, they want to help you. They want to make sure you get paid and you can live and pay the bills and such. But at the same time, like, it's kind of hard to shed that. It's kind of hard to shed that.
It is hard to shed. That's a good word for it,
I've never met another sound recordist that's trying to be a director. I've met some sound recorders that'll be fantastic producers. I've met one other soundy that has been a director and all that sort of stuff, but that's not his main play. He just, he does what he has to do. He has his workhorse, and then he has his unicorns. He'll make his movie, his short film or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not my own terminology as well. That's this wonderful film practitioner called Monica Davidson, the workhorses.
Oh, Monica Davidson, man,
Yeah.
I know Monica very well.
Yeah.
She runs a company called Creative Plus Business.
Yeah. She taught me the other week actually, but I was in a little Metro screen TAFE course with her.
You were a
Something
Metro
like
Screen?
2008.
You're a Metro Screen guy.
2009, sorry. Yeah, but this is the crazy thing. I was actually too young.
I was a TVS guy.
There you go. I was a bit before that. A bit after that, I guess, TVS.
No,
TVS existed till 2016, right?
You're before me because I was like later generation TVS, but we were interlinked with Metro, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't actually
Holy
attend
shit.
a Metro Screen. It
That's
was
mad.
like a little thing. But yeah, she taught me back in 2009, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But very cool, very, very, very talented, filmmaker.
Oh, I said to you, I've heard before about being an unapologetic capitalist. That's her saying.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it because she put it behind the way workhorses and unicorns and such, and you've got to learn to love your unicorns. Sorry, learn to love your workhorses. I mean,
Yeah, well, she just perhaps described it as unicorns to you, but to me, she describes it as a Corvette. She goes, Ross, you have a Corvette, and that Corvette is called Made in the West. You need to rebrand that Made in the West so you can create content and be an agency. Because your brand, the brand that you built over the last 10 years, people try to do that in a year, and it's not achievable. What you've done organically is you have this very expensive brand, and if you leverage your talent inside that brand, you can sell content. And you know what she was? She was totally correct. I got a lot of time for Monica Davis. Big shout out, Monica, if you're listening.
oh, she's fantastic.
And a big plug to her business, Creative Plus Business. She's a great advisor and a good artist business advisor. She is a wealth of knowledge. I can't praise that woman enough. She has made me feel better about me being me. She reminded me the hardest thing as an artist is to identify yourself as an artist. Just say the words, I am an artist.
One thing that
Hardest thing to say.
Absolutely. One thing that she said was because especially people from working class backgrounds, you will get some sort of flack. I've been pretty lucky that I've had a relatively supportive
Same.
family and friend base, but you will get pushback like get a real job and such. And I think the reply that she has to that, which I thought was absolutely amazing, was why would I get a real job when I'm already running a business?
Yeah.
That's fucking spectacular because we all are.
Yeah. Oh man, look, I've been from contract to contract. There's been a moment where I quit a job because I just couldn't handle those people anymore. They're not the same thinkers, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's different workplaces where you go, we're all artists that are struggling. We all work together. There's other workplaces that go, well, this is it. This is it's like those two people you described before. I went through this, so that you have to go through this. Or there's those that go, well, no, this is shit. You don't want to do that. Just learn the lesson. I'll tell you the lesson, and you can get past it, and then you can advance further. There's industries that I've worked in, especially. I'm not having a big bag about it, but TV a little bit. Film is a bit more forgiving. TV are a bit. Depends who you work for. Anyway, I'm going to get right into that. Lost my train of thought. That's all right. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Monica Davidson. We were talking about the workhorses.
The Corvette, getting the Corvette out, right?
Yeah.
And she reminded me of being an artist and identifying as that and not apologizing for it. And realizing that you don't specialize. Like, it's ironic that you, for me in this podcast, because you're talking about, well, I wanted to be a sound engineer. I wanted to do these things in film because you're a muso. I got into film wanting to do Foley. That's how I got into film. The only reason I directed a movie because I was in a classroom with filmmakers and no one else put their hand up to direct a movie. And if you got, all right, I'll do it. No one else is going to put their hand up. I'll do it. And I directed a movie and I fell in love. I literally fell in love with filmmaking. The same way that I fell in love with music when I did my first solid vocal line, where you go, oh man, I cannot not do this. I have to do this. It's unavoidable. And it's the same when you act on screen or direct screen or shoot a film as well, being behind a camera. Doing those things and being abreast of that takes time.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get to a point, you have to be unapologetic about it. Because when you first do your first gigs, there's gigs that you got paid for that made sense. But there's gigs that you did that you go, oh, I got a bit overpaid for that. That wasn't worth any money because I didn't really do my job. I tried, but I didn't really do my job there. You're like, oh, it sucks. That's a bombing feeling. I don't like that. So you learn more. You try to learn more. And then it comes to a point where you go, I'm actually solving all the problems on this set. How come I'm the lowest fucking paid? I should be running this thing. And then you realize, no, this is who I am, man. This is it. Don't apologize for it. This is my price. And if you say no, that's okay. Because even dealing with bands, I would go up to bands and go, man, I can do a $1,000 shoot for you, but I'm going to do it for $300 because I need the training. I go, $300? The venue does an $80 webcam. But I'm offering you a 3-camera shoot of your live event. And you're saying I'm going to pay $80 for a webcam and you're going to post that online. Okay. Okay.
Which, to be honest, unfortunately, not many people are going to watch that. They're not going to sit through one angle.
No. You need to. And when I edit, you do a multicam edit. It's as if you were there live. So these cameras here, man, that I'm shooting this with, I've shot plenty of bands with them, man. When you get those 3, you've got the 2 guys up the front capturing guitars, and you've got the safety at the back. When you start getting that, and you put it into a live camera edit, and you're listening to the music, you're now cutting ear to eye, right? Doing that ear to eye cutting. You can only learn that through experience.
Oh yeah.
You can only learn it through experience, and you shouldn't we sell ourselves short, I think, is where I'm going. We go, I'm so hungry for work, and it's such a famine. If I don't eat, I'm going to die. But there was this one moment, man, where I was contract to contract. That's where I was going. I was contract to contract, and I quit this job, and I didn't get any gigs for 3 months. So I exhausted my savings. I had a rent check due, and I'm looking at a phone going, I'm going to call the old man and ask for a loan. After, as a 37-year-old man, I failed. I fucking failed. And I put the phone down, no, just have a think about it, man. Have a think. And the phone started ringing. Phone's ringing. Picked it up, and it's my mate going, man, are you available to shoot a documentary? I'm willing to pay up front.
There you go. Serendipity, right fucking there.
At the brink, I was ready to fucking say, fuck this. I'm out. I tried. I gave it an honest fucking hard go. And I fucking lost. And I begged with the universe, like, oh, I gotta suck it up, man. I need to pay this rent. No, I'm not ready to make that call. I'm ready.
There you go. I just love that.
And that was a lesson in the universe for me. Don't give up. Don't give up, man. You don't know when the phone's going to ring. And if you do the right thing, if you are admirable and authentic and real, celebrate your skill sets, admit your shortfalls, you will pretty much do okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And eventually, you'll excel. Now I have a problem with the phone rings. I go, oh fuck, do I have time for this booking? I had a choice. There's other ones where I go, shit man, I got 2 offers on the same day.
Yeah.
Then you go, is it about money or location? Alright, so this guy's paying a third more, but I've got to drive 4 hours to get it. Take the other one. Because it's 4 hours less of my time. It's not the money, it's the convenience. Yeah. When you're making decisions like that, you go, shit man, I haven't launched my website yet. I haven't even launched the website.
You got to launch your website, man. It's the best fucking calling card. But I get
several websites, but not the website.
Yeah,
I haven't launched the website. It's coming out soon, kids.
Launch the website, I swear. But
I'm building it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like with the way I approach or whatever, paid gigs is such as like it's kind of like a first in best dressed. But I'll tell you what, when that first gig cancels and I've had other offers in the background, I'm absolutely pissed, and that's happened a lot. Not all of 2021, but most of 2021 was like all of that.
Yeah,
and that's kind of annoying. I went like more than 3 months, dare I say, without a gig.
Oh, dude.
And that wasn't because I was bad at what I did. I was good at what I did. The thing is, it's just that they just whatever the money fell
out the
through,
bottom. Yeah,
money fell out the bottom, or there was weather, or there was COVID, or there was producers because producers do their fucking thing.
Yeah, someone got fired and they go, I don't like that project.
Yeah,
Cancel
and then that just unfortunately didn't happen. And like that was the point when I started. Well, I wanted to quit, where I was like, this is just too fucking unstable. Like I understand the allure of a 9-to-5 job, but at the same time, would I be happy?
Yeah, would you be happy?
Yeah, I'm certainly not fucking happy now.
I'm still working on my escape plan. I'm still working on it.
Oh, we'll get there at some point. You know?
Man, look, I'm serious as a heart attack though, man. It's not impossible to achieve escape velocity. We can do it.
Can you define that, escape velocity?
Yeah, where you don't have to answer anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just doing this project, and it makes money or it doesn't because I own the house.
Okay.
You know, I don't... Look, if I can get to a position where I'm only paying rates, where I go, I need $6,000 a year because I own everything. I can do anything then. You know, that's where I want to get. Escape velocity, where I don't have to answer and take the job that I don't. Like, I must say, like, there's 2 clients that I had in the last 5 years, and they contacted me in the last 2. And I just said, I tripled the quote because they were just hard to deal with. Super hard to deal with. Triple the time, a third of the money. And you're like, actually, no, I don't want the job. You're a pain in the ass. This is the costs. And there was one of the clients, they go, yeah, I'll take it. Like I tripled the quote. They came back 3 months later, go, I'll take the deal. I'm like, oh shit, you have to fucking work with you again. But yeah, you make them learn. So I know this sounds terrible, but you've got to have a bit of ego in that space. There's time where ego needs to be switched on, and there's time where humbleness needs to reign. And the surfing the wave is the deal. It's about surfing the wave, reading the wave, when to be egotistical, when to go, I'm just going to bomb in and be the best, or going, no, man, I just need to be harmonious with my surroundings and get along with the environment. You know, there's times where you need to change the environment. There's times where you need to adapt to the environment. And the assessment of that is the art. The assessment of that's the art. But yeah, saying no to clients has been some of the best joys of my last 3 years. But I've got a bit of a hack for you actually about that, because you're saying that, clients cancelling on you. When I book a client and I think that they are volatile, where you go, they're going to cancel on me. I go, to book me, I need a third of the cost
right now
today, because I'm a busy man. I go, oh, we have to get back to you. Like, you can get back to me. But if you want to book me, you need to give me a third of the cost of this deal right now.
That's a good hack, actually. I'll have to take that on board. I think I've had that
fair.
sort of thing. Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah,
it's totally fair. Yeah, because if I book you, it's kind of like a tattoo artist, right? If you went to a tattooist and go, I want this whole sleeve done, and then you ring them the day of and
say you don't want it anymore.
Actually, I changed my mind.
They've lost 5 hours of work.
They've lost 5 hours of work.
Yeah,
and that 5 hours, you go, it's more than that 5 hours, because then they designed it. You know what I mean? There's more background to just the application of your art. There's the organisation of the capture point. You know, so there's more into it than that. Like, and clients can be terrible. They can be absolutely terrible. They go, oh, I'm just going to cancel this. Or revisions are the worst for me. I fucking hate revisions. Because I go, all right. So the deal is we're going to paint your house white. And they go, yep. Okay, so you don't want to be painted any other colour, just white. I go, yep. I paint the white house and deliver the white house. I go, the house has been painted white. You owe me X amount of money. I go, but what if we put a pink strip around the whole thing? You know, that's not what you quoted, man.
Drives me nuts. Yeah.
That's it.
But do you have a clause where you have like 2 revisions or 3 revisions and then they have to pay extra?
I actually put an extra clause in. So I do put that clause in. But the other clause I put in is change of concept.
Yeah.
Put in a change of concept clause. So the way I need to look at it, but the way to word that is, this is the brief. If you exercise outside of that brief, you are now changing the brief, which will require another engagement, which is a fee, and then the reacquiring of that content after that brief. They go, oh, I'm not going to pay for that. Great. So let's remain
Tough tits.
with the same brief that we agreed
Yeah.
on. So, and that's why I say I use the word avatar. I go, the movie Avatar. Cost, how many million people made that fucking movie, right? They have this expectation, and I forgive them for this expectation because content in Australia in particular is free. If you look for content hard enough, it's free. We're surrounded by image. We're surrounded by streaming services. You can watch The Mandalorian at $50 million an episode in half an hour while you're eating noodles on the couch. I get it. But if you want me to make a content for your company that you go, well, my company's worth $800,000, and out of this, I'm going to make $200,000. You go, well, my share of that is 20.
Yeah,
That's the deal.
I get that. I know some soundies or whatever that do approach that because if it's an ad as well, they're going to be
commercial use.
Yeah.
It's commercial use, man.
Yeah.
And you want my skill set. My skill set. I got a uni degree to get it. Yeah, we can equate a cost to that. We can equate a cost to that. Everything that I did outside of university while investing in myself as an ABN, becoming proprietary limited, to acquire my network, to acquire my losses and failures over every job that I've ever done is worth this much an hour. Period. I'm not apologising for it.
That's good.
And as I get older, my profile rises. So does that cost.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's nuts and bolts.
Here's sidestepping us that little bit, but here's a little piece of advice. A good friend of mine, Brendan Blacklock, shout out Brendan. Hope you're doing well. He gave me was that the busier you are, the more that you're wanted, and such as well.
Yeah, demand.
Yeah, demand.
Yeah, demand. Yeah, demand's interesting.
Never thought about that actually. Like you wouldn't think that, like you think, oh, I won't bother him. It's the adverse effect. Adverse effect. Too many beers. Too
many
now.
beers. Yeah, no, I'm in with you. Let me pour some more beer in there for you.
Why not?
Thanks,
legend.
Don't forget the power of no. The power of no. Like, don't be afraid to say no, kids. That's not to my standards. Sorry, no. You'll be surprised how much you will get counter offered by saying the word no. What's your day rate? That's the question I love. Day rate. You go, it depends on what it is. Average $1,000. $1,000 a day. If you want editing services, $500 a day. If it's we're doing keyframing, we're talking $1,000 a day. But what do you want? That's the range, bro. I just need a one-person interview. So you need a one-camera shoot. Oh no, I'd like it from 2 angles. So you need a 2-camera shoot. So I need to.
If you're charging $1,000 a day, man, that's undercharging for a DP rate.
Oh no, but that's just talk. I'm just talking to you.
Okay.
We haven't even talked about the product yet.
All right.
I'm just setting your expectation.
Cool.
Me showing up one camera, one interview. One camera shoot. It takes me 4 hours. I'll do it for $1,000. Easy.
Love it.
No,
Okay.
but it is. But you go, well, I know I want a 2-camera shoot, and I need an audio operator, and I need you to produce the content. I need you to write the script.
That's when the numbers start fucking adding up.
Oh, well, now you're looking at $2,500, bro. Which
Even that's cutting it pretty. Yeah.
No, but it is. No, but then it depends on the product. If we're doing a 3-day shoot and you want a 5-minute film, you're gonna need $10,000, bro. You're gonna need $10,000. That's it. I haven't even extrapolated yet. You need 10. That's it. You want that film? It's 10, and that's basement. We're at the basement. We're not even in the project yet. So if you get to that mentality, like I say, it sounds like selling short. So you say the word $1,000, they go, right? But if you're talking to a corporation, they go, what kind of thousand are we talking about? Am I going to get this cheaper? Right? You've already, either which way, you got their attention. Either which way. You've set an expectation and you've got an attention. But then you start to nut out the quote. Nutting out quotes is very interesting. People that sell themselves under is amazing. As someone that's an agent that does this for people, like, you'd be amazed what they take. I come back with them with a price. They'll be like, how did you get that? I go, is it fair? They go, yeah, it's totally fair. I go, that's why you've got it. Because I'm getting a commission, by the way. Like the business is getting a commission. In fact, I'm working on the project as well, so I'm getting paid on the project too. So I'm looked after. Don't worry about me. But if you're okay, then it's okay, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely. Negotiating with industry is interesting. I find it's kind of like what you said before. There's two kind of people. The ones that go, surely you want to work with us for the exposure. I don't think you see the value of what we're offering.
Jeez.
I'm offering you international, clean-cut, pristine content that you can aggregate from for a couple of years. And you're saying that you want me to do this for free. Interesting argument. Because you have a brand. I don't know if you checked out, man. We've got a brand too. And looking at reach, yeah, you're a bigger fish than us. No doubt about it. No doubt. But what you're trying to tick a box in is not going to work for you unless you hire us. Like, I'm not going to mention them. There was one organisation, they said, got $50,000, man. $50,000 to invest in Western Sydney content. You go, great. That sounds awesome. I've got content providers. We can actually do a behind-the-scenes video, do an on-scene capture of the event, do a promotional video, sell the content to the... No, that's not what we were intending. I'm like, well, why'd you get the 50 grand for? Like, oh, we've got to pay for the venue. Are you telling me?
Oh, no.
That the venue costs $50,000? Because I know every venue in town, mate. And we what are you doing it at
State Theatre or something like that? What is that?
What is that? What is that? And like, oh, well, we've got to pay our staff. And we're like, guess what, Sunshine? I've got to pay my staff too.
Jeez.
And not to mention, we haven't even talked about the content yet.
The audacity, I swear.
Yeah. But at the other side, though, I run into other organisations going, can we broker a deal? I know that this thing is valuable, but we want to get a discount because we don't have a big budget. Like, yeah, we can do a deal, but we'll do one deal, but our next deal has to be a little bit better, yeah. Let's do an introduction so that we can understand that we like each other. I get that. But there's other deals that show up and go, man, we got all the money in the world, name your price. And you're like, great, I love you, in love, amazing, let's pay these guys, and then ring them up. I had this, we had this film we had to do 4 films last year, and I ring up these filmmakers, and they go, all right, so what's the budget? I go, this is the budget. They go, is that for all 4 films? I'm like, no, man, it's just that film. They're like, I'm in. I'm like, you haven't even checked the calendar. No, I'm in. I'm like, that's what you want. That's what you want. Because that cash injection, all of those 4 dudes and ladies that made those films all put that money into their feature. All of them. And then they're going to go show that feature. That feature's going to get venue money. That feature's going to get ticket money. That feature's going to get royalty money. That feature's going to get actors paid, a cinematographer paid, a sound design guy, an editor paid, a Foley artist paid. Everyone's getting fucking paid.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. If you want to invoke change, you have to inject cash. It's just that simple.
Capitalism. What was it? What did you say before? Capitalism on drugs or something like that? What was it? Something like that.
Oh no! It was, don't be a ruthless capitalist. Is what I was saying off air before. Like, be an unapologetic capitalist. You know, go. This is my art. And this is my hourly rate. This is how much I'm worth. If you don't want to pay for me, go and get someone else. Easy deal. But don't fuck over your fellow man and your fellow ladies, man. Just go, hey, man, we can work together. Like, you know, if someone comes to me and goes, I need a music video director. I know I've got 4 people I can contact straight away. And you're on that list. Straight up.
You.
I go, man, I know 4 people that can do that. What kind of style are you looking for? Oh, I need something that's gritty and horror. I go, oh, got the guy. 2 minutes, I'll have an answer for you. You know, ring him up. Go, hey, man, do you want to make this? You go, yeah, great.
Absolutely.
Put them in touch and then mediate that experience, man. And that's what we've got to do, man. We've got the Metropolis coming in. We've got Western Sydney between Penrith and Liverpool is going to turn into a metropolis.
Absolutely. You got the fucking airport coming in and all that sort of stuff. And also the Parramatta being the second CBD. It's all coming out this way.
Yeah, well, that's the second CBD, but we're in the third CBD where we are now.
You'd say Penrith is third CBD?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to... You wait 15 years.
Penrith is actually so fucking cool. Can I just put that out there? Like, I don't know. They've got like it's actually relatively pretty out here. There's shit that happens. They've got cool like bars and restaurants and stuff like that.
It is pretty cool.
You know, I'll admit it. You know, I'm not even afraid to say Penrith is pretty fucking dope.
Man, I love Penrith, man. It is called the City of Adventure.
It's also on right on the fucking Blue Mountains.
Yeah. So well, from here, man, even from the Ivory Tower that I live in here, I've got massive problems living in my Ivory Tower. It's all terrible, but I overlook the whole ridgeline of the Blue Mountains. So I watch the lightning strikes that hit the mountains as they come in. Right?
Yeah, damn.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But City of Adventure, you can go indoor skydiving. Museum of Fire. Fire trucks if you're into it with the kids. But, the bars. Oh, man, Holy Moly, right? Went to Holy Moly the other day. And cause I went to Holy Moly in, Newtown. You're like, it's totally compressed. You feel, shuffled in. You go to the Penrith one, man, you're like, man, this is insane. This is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's fucking insane. I'm like, I'm going to drop acid and go to this fucking pub, man. It's going to be great. Steve O's birthday. This will be published by then. We'll have fun. But man, it's definitely on the grow. But this is just the threshold. We're at the threshold. When these businesses come in, they're going to need content for their businesses. They're going, and the councils that show up are going to need content bolstering their objectives. So you've got corporate, you've got government, and then you've got the arts organisations that are going to pop out of it. And we are the proto mammals of that space. If we don't take it, someone else will.
They're already fucking trying.
They're trying. They are trying. But I tell you what, man, serious as a heart attack. I'm watching content that's coming out of this region that is not comparable. It's apples and oranges. The stuff that's coming out of Western Sydney. If you look at the artist ratio, 1 in 4 people in Western Sydney are making content of some kind. Of some kind. And they're getting notoriety. And do you know why it's selling? I'll tell you why it's selling, man. Because it's authentic. It's real. It's not fabricated. It's not fugazi. It's real. Right? And that's where you got to lean into. Don't shy away from your haircut. Don't shy away from your postcode. Don't shy away from your accent. Don't shy away from your ethnicity, your sexuality, or sexual preference. It's not fucking important. What's important is the content and the story that you're telling.
Absolutely.
That's the important part.
Absolutely.
If you get that down, you're good to go, man. Hey man, we've been on this for hours, man. We've got to get out of the show.
Probably.
We've definitely got to get out of the show, man. But where can we find you online, man?
So I have Instagram page, Luke Agius Director. So you can check me out on at Luke Agius Director. And that's
about it.
I also have a website, lukeagius.com.au, so you can check that out there if you guys want any music videos and stuff like that made, or just reach out to me. You know, I'm happy to sort of look into what you might have.
Yeah, man. A storyteller and a film practitioner. Man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank
you
for having me on.
it.
It's been a fucking awesome time.
Man, this has been a fucking hoot, bro. This has been great. This has been great. All right, and guys, you've been watching the Pagey Train, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube. That's right. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And hey, we're also on Spotify, Vision on Spotify, and a big shout out to our Spotify fans that are in Texas at the moment and Virginia. I don't know what you guys are on, but whatever you're smoking, you're enjoying the Pagey Train. So keep watching and keep subscribing. But hey, if you're one of our avid listeners, you can go and check us out on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Basically anywhere you can find podcasts. You guys have been watching the Pagey Train, and we'll see you next time.
Quick shout out to Jody.
Man, that was a boss show.
That was fucking awesome.
Thank you so much for being on. Man, I'm just, smile ear to ear. This has been